just being on a high-profile football show, you just get peppered. We've been filming this for 6 to 7 weeks, and you failed to mention that you got a mutual friend with Lionel Messi. You know, in this new world of social media where everyone can tell you how they feel, you know, behind a keyboard and stuff. It's it was insane. I think it's sad. I think it's really, really sad.
Hello, thank you for tuning in to the Football and Feelings podcast with me, Liam Masters. A great episode today with Lloyd Griffith, the man of many talents. He's a comedian, he's a singer, TV presenter, aspiring goalkeeper as well. We had a great chat about many things, like his route into comedy, because it's a little bit different than a lot of people's. Bigger football fans who think that they are bigger than they are on social media. And a lot of other stuff. I'm sure you'll enjoy this one. Whilst I've got you, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, then please leave us a review, give us a rating. It'll really help me grow the show to get bigger and better guests on every week and to reach a bigger audience as well. Or subscribe wherever you're listening. I'll leave it there. Enjoy this episode. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for joining me on the Football and Feelings podcast. Lloyd, it's great to have you on here. I've already had your good friend Robbie Knox and Martin Gritton as well, so you're the final piece of the friendship triangle.
Wow, yeah, I saw a little clip of Grit the other day. He's a good lad, isn't he?
Loved it. It was it's like if scientists wanted to create the most level-headed man in the world, it would probably be Martin Gritton. Yeah,
he's an anomaly, I think. You know, when it comes to footballers, and when he speaks to me, like, you know, the segment that I saw was he basically said his plan wasn't to be a footballer. That was his, you know. So it's interesting, and it was for him. It was a job, whereas for most people, it's a dream. But you know, for him, it kind of it paid the mortgage, and he just cracked on with it. So interesting.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I didn't realise actually that Grits feature had a little cameo in your 2016 club with FIFA. The quest for the best. I didn't realise until I watched that back quite recently.
So, and again, it's quite interesting because the three people that I got involved in it, so they needed basically three friends of mine that were ideally football fans, and so I called upon Rhys James, comedian. You know, I might have seen him on Mock the Week and Live at the Apollo, and our mate Mark Smith, who's got into more football stuff. So he does a fair few shows on, like, does stuff on TalkSport, and he kind of does stuff for Derby, for Man United on their channels. And then there's my mate Grits, and you know, at the time, those three didn't, you know, Mark and Rhys knew each other really well, but they didn't know Grits, and then they've become kind of like thick as thieves since. So it was quite good to kind of like just to pull them together, really. But yeah, then Grits came over to Barcelona with me and did some filming there. So it was good, you know. We go to quite a lot of football matches together. You know, we're quite neutral. He supports Celtic and I support Grimsby, so we go to a lot of Premier League games together, both live in London, and you know, we don't have to worry about the score or anything. It's just a nice little day out of the blues.
Don't worry about it ruining your weekend. So you're from Great Grimsby and you're a Grimsby fan. I wanted to see how you're sort of feeling at the moment with for all clubs it's difficult, but especially for the lower league clubs without that ticket revenue. Yeah,
it's weird because obviously everyone's in the same boat. Everyone is in the same boat. And it seems that we're doing okay at the moment. You know, we've got Ian Holloway came in as our manager about 6 months ago, and it's given the club a little bit of a renaissance until obviously this kind of kicked off. We're able to sign players that we wouldn't have really been able to sign because obviously you've got Ian Holloway as your gaffer. His phone book is obviously extensive, and it was great to see what was happening when it first started. Just a shame that it's finished as it is. What happens next season, you know, we've got no idea. We've no idea when that even starts. But I love Grimsby Town so much. But there's just, you know, it's so frustrating supporting them on and off the pitch. So I'm just hoping that we can kind of, you know, get back to where we were. You know, we're beating Scunthorpe in the league, which is our closest rivals this season, you know, unless it's Lincoln. We just there's been a bit of like a lot of positivity around the club. So we'll just have to see. Like the fans are raising money for the club at the moment, which I don't agree with. I know it sounds foolish. Like But we've done it before, and it's, not to get into too much of it, but like it's not managed that well. Like the major shareholder doesn't manage it very well, and I just think that he should be putting his hand in his pocket and going, I'll help balance the books here. You don't have to, because the club have already done. The fans have already done it. The year that we got promoted, we had a thing called Operation Promotion, where we raised more than £100,000 in order for Paul Hurst to have a bigger kitty, a war chest to go and attack the conference and get promoted. We did. We got promoted, but then the major shareholder took out £200,000 at the end of that year. So I just feel that we're in a bit of the same predicament. So I just like to see what leadership comes from the top, and where the funds will be coming from there. So sorry, it's a bit of a long-winded answer, isn't it? But
no, that's all right.
I'll be waiting for someone to ask me that so I can get off my chest.
Yeah, your shoulders have just dropped. You look very relaxed now. I like to think, though, with someone like Ian Holloway there, he might sort of be able to have a bit of influence there. I've spent many an hour watching his press conferences on YouTube, just because he's a great man.
Yeah, I mean, Ollie's great. And when I was working at Soccer AM, he used to come in on a Friday to do the debate. And we'd be in the office quite late on a Friday night getting ready for the show on Saturday morning. And Ollie would come in and he'd just yarn for hours. And it was amazing. Do you know what I mean? To see Ian Holloway, do you know what I mean? Bounce back ability, the absolute king coming in. And, we knew I supported, which I thought was lovely. And just always asked about you and asked about you. Oh, how's everything going? You all right, mate? Yeah, I'm watching you lads have a good laugh on a Saturday morning, don't you? And so, like, when he came on as a guest, it was great. But there's only so much that a manager can do. It's completely out of his hands, really, as to what happens next. And no matter who you've got, their hands are tied until things kind of settle down a little bit, really, and see when the season can start going.
Of course. Do you have a first memory of Grimsby Town?
Yeah, it's a weird one, because I supported Grimsby, but not like passionately. So I was like, grew up single parent mum, single parent family with just my mum and my sister in Grimsby. So there was no real kind of like Grimsby Town massive fanatic in the family. My auntie's boyfriend, Dave, used to take me to a fair few Grimsby games. But the first Grimsby game that I went to was John Cockerell's testimonial. So John Cockerell, brother of Glenn Cockerell, who played at Southampton. And John was like a Grimsby legend, obviously having a testimonial, been there for a while and scored some really important goals. The goal, I think 1 or 2 goals against Exeter, that got us promoted. So he, I went to his testimonial, and his mum was the secretary at my school. So that was kind of like, and so me and my mum went, and it was great. I remember it vividly. I've done a few articles about that day, and it was absolutely freezing. I'm not sure if you've ever been to Blundell Park, but the Finders, the Upper Finders or Upper Smiths or whatever it's called, you can kind of just look at the North Sea. So like the River Humber is just, you can see just ships going across the main stand. So you've got a view of just, an armada of trawlers, really, or tankers. I'm talking crappy. But basically, yeah, it was absolutely freezing. I remember Steve Sherwood wearing a jumpsuit because it was that cold. Don't remember the score. I remember Mum leaving, like saying, "Look, we're going to go 10 minutes before the end," because it was absolutely Baltic. And so I supported Grimsby Town. I had a little, I wouldn't say like an affair with Man United, but honestly, my mum used to work in a restaurant on a Saturday, and it was cheaper for my cousin to take me to Old Trafford on a Saturday than it was for Mum to pay for a babysitter for 8 hours. So
niche.
Yeah, it was literally, so my cousins, Sam and Bob, used to go to to Old Trafford pretty much every home game. And the kids' tickets were like £9, So my mum used to just give me that £9-10. My cousins, who were older than, they were like in their 30s, 40s, used to take me with their kids, like my second cousins, to Old Trafford on so I think for 2 years, I probably went to like 15, 20 old, Man United games just because it was easier than getting a babysitter. So that my first memory was John Cockerell's testimonial, and then weirdly John Cockerell then came to my school to get his badges, to get his football badges, and he was actually the person that taught me how to play football.
Oh wow, unreal!
Yeah.
Is he responsible for your cat-like reflexes, or is that all self-taught?
No, I mean, he was responsible for me going in goal because I think he realised there was no talent outfield whatsoever. But I remember doing Talksport a few months back, or maybe a year or so ago, and he texted. He was like, "I remember I taught Lloyd how to play football." I was like, "He did. He literally did." I just remember him like teaching me. I didn't know the difference between a goal kick up your hands or a goal kick on the floor, and so he'd kind of. I remember being on the. He said this bit of field at St James, or it's like the posh school in St James. It was called the paddock. I mean, proper. That's 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 a posh field. And I remember him just teaching me like, right, out your hands here, Lloyd. Okay, on the floor here, Lloyd, and stuff. So, he was great teacher. And then went on to to manage Grimsby Town a few times.
Would you rather see Grimsby Town get to the Prem, or see England win the World Cup?
I mean, I've often thought about Grimsby Town being in the top flight of English football. It wasn't a million years ago that we were kind of like flirting with it. I think, was it 2001 where we were like second of the championship? I think you've got to look at any. I think there were so many years where it was Grimsby Town and Bournemouth were flirting with being relegated out of the Football League, and Bournemouth, I think 2 or 3 times kind of just like pulled it out and never got relegated. And they're, obviously now a Premier League team, so it's not completely impossible. It looks like they might go down this season. My thing is like, if Grimsby get into the Premier League, it'd be one season. It would be like, I'm like such a kind of, you got to look at the fact like our stadium wouldn't be allowed in the Premier League for a start. Like 100% wouldn't be allowed. So let's go with England.
Okay, fair enough. Can't argue with that. We'll go with that. Let's hope. I wanted to talk about life before comedy for you. Because it was quite different to how it is now. It's maybe even quite niche. You're a chorister in Grimsby, and then you went on to read music at Exeter Uni. Was that route sort of set out for you to go into singing, or was that very much you found that path on your own?
I mean, so again, like I say, I grew up in Grimsby, on a road called Columbia Road, where everyone went. I went to like the primary school, Old Clee, around the corner. And then I just got given an opportunity where I could have gone to St James, and it was like my godfather recognised that I had a bit of a singing talent and was like, look, there's a choir school down the road. So Grimsby's like randomly got a choir school called St James, and I went there, and it just became, even like from the age of 7 or 8, it became obvious that I was a half decent singer. And as the years went by, 9, 10, 11, I was winning various things, getting my grades. And then from then, it was just like, that was the path. That there was no other, I wasn't really good at anything else apart from performing or singing at the time, do you know what I mean? And then that turned into performance. But there was no real other option, do you know what I mean? It was always, right, A-levels, music and a few others, then university, it's going to be music. And, I went to university and, as you say, like, read music there, like classical music. So it was quite a tough degree. It was, it was all academic. But yeah, so for me, it was only ever going to be music, like nothing other than that. And then once I started doing music, it kind of opened up my eyes to be able to do other more performance-based stuff. And then that evolved into, comedy, really.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, you've said previously that it was during you working with close harmony groups, you sort of discovered that you actually enjoyed making people laugh, maybe even more than you enjoyed the singing part of it. But do you think if you didn't... Lloyd, I'm a professional. Yeah. Well, I try to be. Do you think if you didn't make that discovery then, do you think you would have made it at some point, or do you think your life now would be completely different?
I mean, it sounds so wanky, but like I'd always imagined that I was going to be doing something before. I remember like seeing people on TV, and I just remember thinking, "Oh, I'm going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to do that." And the singing thing, I wouldn't ever give it up. Like I still do it now. You know what I mean? So I still sing in when you can do, but like I sing regularly in the choir of St George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, which is an amazing choir. Every now and then at Westminster Abbey. So I like still wear the cassock, you know what I mean, the dress, and still sing high like a lady. But the Yeah, I think I would have made a jump at some point, but it was doing that close harmony stuff where I was, talking and just making people laugh. And I used to give tours around university when I was at Exeter. I think I got like an extra 30 quid a week or like 20 quid a week, doing like 2 tours a week for prospective music students. So I'd go around and be like, I'd go around and just like do awful jokes and awful like puns and like write this little routine about the university. Well, I was giving them actual facts, but then just, like one of them, I was thinking about it the other week actually when I was chatting to a mate from uni. I was like, all old stolen jokes. I'd go like around like these the halls of residence. I was like, my friend actually lived on the top floor, but he was really annoyed because he opened his window and there was an X-Tractor fan. Just a bloke going, I used to like tractors, me. And that was a joke. A tractor fan, I used to like tractors, me. And you could like see the parents laughing and the kids who obviously like a year younger than me be like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? So I probably stopped a lot of people coming to Exeter because they were like, I don't want to turn out like this absolute nerd. So, yes, I'd always done stuff like I did. I hosted a fashion show at university and was doing jokes about that and stuff. Jokes in that, sorry. So, and that was the person who did it the year after me was a chap called Tom Deacon, who then went on to forge a career in comedy pretty quickly and got a show on Radio 1 and stuff. So I'd have jumped ship at some point, but I just didn't know when it would be. And, luckily the singing thing kind of like helped me realize that this could actually happen, this could be a thing.
Yeah. When you reflect on those like prime singing years that you had, what stands out? How do you feel about them? Or is there like a standout moment or just an era for you?
Yeah. Like even like looking back now, I was really going for the singing thing, and I had some of the best singing teachers in the country, and used to like go to like the Royal College of Music in London for my singing lessons, get on a train, go to there for a day and have like the singing lessons. And I used to do quite a lot of solo stuff. So me usually in like a tuxedo morning, like a penguin suit. And I remember doing a gig in Norwich Cathedral, which, is pretty big. And it was a pretty full cathedral, like 1,300 people in there singing Handel's Messiah. Me, singing really quite high with a full orchestra and stuff, and having a really good gig and just thinking, so that was one of the best musical performances of my kind of career, and thinking, right, if I want to do this, I've really got to kick on and, go to the next level. And I didn't really want to go to the next level. I realized that I didn't want to be a singer full time. There was a number of reasons, like probably quite a lonely existence, not that much work for the amount of people that were doing it. And also not that much money. And that was like a big influencer for me. Being like, even if I was at the top of my game, I still wouldn't be properly loaded. But I had so many amazing memories. Like I sang backing vocals on the Bee Gees Christmas album, sang on the Friday night show with Alan Carr and Justin E. Collins. Did some stuff for like British Airways, for an advert and stuff. So it was like, at the time it was great. And it was, I was able to travel the world and do stuff. So yeah, it was interesting. But I'm still in a really lucky position and I still do sing now. And my show that I had to stop touring at the beginning of this year, which touch wood will start up again end of this year, or at least the beginning of next year, is about football and singing. Really, how I wanted to be a footballer but was too rubbish and fat, and have become a singer, and I'm trying to match the two, join the two. The Euros are around the corner, and there's always a singer at the Euros and stuff. So, that's my show this year. So I've always kept the singing in, and I think mentally, singing for me is one of the it's an absolute leveler. I'm never happier than when I'm singing in a choir with like 20, 30 other blokes. Nice bit of Latin polyphony. Oi, oi. So,
hashtag relatable. So then that was sort of when your climbing the comedy circuit started. But that in itself can be quite a long and torturous ladder to climb. But at what point did you realise that a career in comedy could happen for you?
Well, I got into comedy by basically just I hadn't been to a comedy club before or anything like that. I moved to London. I got a job. I got a job as a producer for like a large experiential marketing agency, and it was a good job. But I lived in Shoreditch, and I used to go to a place called Finfig Bar, otherwise known as Backyard Comedy Club. Lee Hurst used to run it and like MC every night. And I used to love their thing is all over, like growing up, like it was like a staple in the house. And so I spoke to him after a gig, and I was like, look, how do you get into this? Because it just blew my mind. The first night I saw Milton Jones opening and Mickey Flanagan closing, and they'd not done any TV at this point. So it was like, who are these people, and like, how do you do what they do? So he gave me some advice, and then I went on a comedy course, which looking back wasn't great, really, to be honest. There's a few people talking there, and randomly, like Rob Beckett is one of my best mates now, but we were both on that course on the same day. Like, we remember when we first started, we kind of like talked about it, and we like realized, oh yeah. And someone said, look, if you do comedy, and hopefully you'll start to earn money in 3 to 5 years, and then you'll be able to like go pro and like do it professionally after like 5 or 7, maybe 8 years. I was like, oh, bloody hell. So I gave it a go, and we started earning money within 6 months to a year. Not loads of money, but still, 20, 30, 40 quid for doing little gigs. And then I think I realized after about a year, 2 years, I was speaking to Rob, and we were both saying, I think we can do this. I think this might be a thing. But obviously he kind of like skyrocketed pretty early on. But yeah, I think after 3 years, I gave up my job and was able to do comedy full time. Like, you're working your tits off, and you're driving all over the country. Like, so many service stations, and every single motorway. Like, whenever I do a quiz and they go, it's a motorway quiz, I'm like, yes. Like comedian and salesman, it's like, yes, this is it. I mean, this is our round. But yeah, it's I wouldn't ever want to start doing comedy again now. I wouldn't ever want to do it again now. It's a weird. You have to go all over the country for like no money, and they're not always great gigs. So yeah, it's a really tough. It's tough to start doing comedy. It's really tough.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't really realise the amount of amount of work that comedians do put in. Like I said, the travelling up and down the country is quite strenuous. Like you've spoken about balancing Edinburgh Fringe with like commitments to Soccer AM, which I mean, I feel like I'd implode if I was dealing with that sort of stress travelling up and down the country. But do you think you manage that stress well or well enough?
Well, at the start it was fine, and it just, it kind of organically happens. And I remember like when I had a job and was doing comedy, that was relatively stressful. I used to like take a few hours off here and there. Like, my work were really generous in going, as long as you find the time up somewhere, that's not a problem. And so I remember one day leaving work at maybe 2 or 3 o'clock, and then getting a train up to Edinburgh, getting off the train at like 7:30, going to do Red Raw, the new act night, doing 10 minutes at Red Raw on a Monday night in Edinburgh, buying like a couple of sleeping pills and 4 cans of lager, 4 cans of Stella specifically, for the sleeper train at 11:24, got into London Euston at maybe 6:30, went home, changed my pants, had a shower, went into work, and like, you just have a conversation with people like, oh, what were you gigging last night? I was like, oh yeah, I was in Edinburgh. They're like, what? But you were in the office last night? Yeah. So that too. I was like, oh yeah, I just jumped on the train, did the gig, and got the sleeper train back. They're like, well, how much did you get paid? I went, it was like £40 expenses. Going, well, how much was the train? He's like, about £120. I was like, right, so you've lost money. Going, yeah, but you do it because you want to get seen by certain people to get hopefully weekends and stuff where, yeah, it just makes no sense, but that's just what you do. And then when I got Soccer AM, I'd already kind of committed to the Fringe. So I think it was like my 3rd full year, 2017. I just supported Jack Whitehall on tour early that year, which meant that I'd kind of got a bit of a bigger audience, more people would come to see me. So I couldn't cancel it. And then, between Fenners and me and the team and my agent, we decided that I could, fly back after my show on the Thursday night in Edinburgh, go home, work the full day at Sky on the Friday, getting ready for the show, do the show on Saturday morning, and then fly back up to Edinburgh straight after that, and then do a week in Edinburgh. And you know, that was the actual logistics of it were fine, but it was the emotional element of it. Do you know what I mean? Of doing that, of just I'm not sure if we're going to discuss it, but like just being on a high profile football show, you just get peppered. Do you know what I mean? You just the abuse that happened, and that was the thing. I remember like the first day, just like reading the tweets. At Heathrow, like I nearly missed my flight because I was just like, oh my god. So that was the emotional side of that was really hard to get on board with. But what was really good is a few people that had already been presenters on the show, and a few footballers were like, oh, so you know, you're gonna get abuse. I was like, mate, I'm an everyman. It's absolutely. I've never got abuse in my life. You know what I mean? I do gigs, people love it. I've just supported Jack Whitehall in like 10,000, 15,000 seat arenas. I was like, people like me. And I was like reading that. Like I remember the tweet that basically said, I'd rather send my children on holiday with the McCanns than watch this fat prick at Lloyd Griffith for the next 90 minutes.
Oh, fucking hell.
I would rather go for a routine pickup with Harold Shipman than watch at Lloyd Griffith for another 90 minutes. And you kind of go in, how... Yeah, it was just... insane. And you know, when you asked me on this, I was quite happy. You know, I was chuffed because I do want to talk about. I think that football fans sometimes are insane, like absolutely insane.
100%.
It's so tribal. They have, you know, I think it's, you know, I've spoken to a lot of people about this. I think it's because people need a side and they just feel opinionated. It's a religion. Do you know what I mean? It is a religion. I know we joke about it, but you know, a lot of majority of people don't believe in a god or anything this side. You know, obviously, like religion was the reason why wars happen and stuff. Whereas now people have football and therefore they have opinions. And you know, and I'm not, you know, by no means am I saying I am the best presenter in the world. You know what I mean? But and for the first kind of like 3 or 4 weeks, you know, like when me and Jim used to look back at the things, it was like we were absolute, you know, mahogany. You know what I mean? Proper stiff. Do you know what I mean? Because we're going to a new job. And I spoke to Tim Lovejoy, and Tim was saying, look, when he first started doing it, he was the same. Do you know what I mean? He didn't know what was going on. And he, the podcast that him and that Tim and Helen Chamberlain do on Tim is really interesting. To if you're a football fan and a fan of Soccer AM, it's on Tim's channel. It's really interesting of like how he got the job, how Helen was already doing it, and he was like, right, let's get rid of her, and then was like, oh no, she's brilliant and she needs to like lead me through this because Tim couldn't read AutoCue at the start and stuff like that. So there's so much to get in, but it was just the abuse from people who had pretty much the same kind of profile. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Steve, season ticket, I'll do it at the North End. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The Arsenal.
White days.
The Arsenal, the kids, the wife, in that order. You know what I mean? And it was just like them going, you fat nonce. And you're going, oh, like, yeah, fine, mate, whatever. And, you know, it did get to me after a little, you know, it did get to me. And I was like thinking, oh, can I do this? Max Rushton was amazing. He was like, oh, mate, it's going to be horrific. And he's like, I still get told I was shit on Soccer AM. He went, I left 4 years ago. He's like, I still get to do this now. But Max was great. Fenners was great. You know, with helping with it. But it was, you know, in this new world of social media where everyone can tell you how they feel, you know, behind a keyboard and stuff. It's it was insane. And I think it's sad. I think it's really, really sad. You know, I mean, you just have to look on Instagram or Twitter now. A footballer will tweet something, and the stuff that is written underneath it, you're going, why have you done that? Like, genuinely, how shit is your life that you're calling Guendouzi, you know, a kiddie fiddler or whatever it is? Do you know what I mean? Gary Lineker, who I think is one of the most level-headed people out there, who is a footballer, hasn't kicked a football since, you know what I mean, but he's obviously still a football pundit. I think he's, you know, he'll tweet something and go, oh yeah, it'll fit your left field agenda, won't it, Lineker? And it's like, people just think they're so intelligent. This is the thing. That's what people think that they know best. Yeah. Some people do know best, but not everyone does. And it's just, it needs, I don't know how it has, you know, like now I haven't got a problem with it. I mute the conversation so they're just shouting into a well, or I'll entertain it and just keep replying because it's like, mate, I've got nothing else on. I mean, this is literally my job, so I'm happy to kind of like just keep going. But I think it is sad. It's obviously a society thing, and just the amount of abuse that footballers get. And it seemed that it's fine. They're paid £500,000 a week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can call them whatever I want. You know what I mean? They still have feelings. Do you know what I mean? They still have a family. The amount of footballers I know that just don't do their own social media because they don't want to look at being called, a big tooth prick or whatever it is. So, it is sad, and especially like going to the, with regard to Grimsby Town. I'm friends with quite a lot of Grimsby Town players, past and present, and they're getting booed at full time, and they're getting called out on social media in such a small town. It's like what, why? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't think many footballers will hold their hand up and go, "Oh, I don't care. I'm just doing it because I'm getting paid." Do you know what I mean? Most footballers want to earn a living, but they want to do the best for those people in the stadiums. Mm-hmm. So it's just insane. I think football fans just need to chill out. Like 100% need to chill out. It is sport, it is entertainment, but it's not the be all and end all. It's not life and death. Football fans do just need to calm down and be less aggressive.
Yeah, and I think the problem is a lot of these fans being a football fan is their personality. Like they don't really have much else going on. So if you attack what they've got, I mean, you better be ready. But it is a shame. And I was speaking to Robbie about this briefly about regards to Soccer AM. That was something that was so embedded in a lot of people's culture when they were growing up. That as soon as the show started to change, people were like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Soccer AM shit. It's nothing like that anymore." It's like, "Oh, fucking hell! It's a TV show. Don't like it. Don't watch it, pal."
Well, so obviously, like, I love Robbie. I've known Robbie for a long time, and he used to tell me stuff. And when I spoke to Tim, I was like, "Mate, the abuse." He was like, "Yeah." He's like, and Tim said, "Look, I used to get it back in the day where," he said, "I used to back in the day where they used to have to lick an envelope to send me abuse, and that's how much they hated me." I was like, "Oh my God, someone's put their DNA on an envelope." And then, it was like they're almost like the anti of keyboard warriors. And fellas and Robbie were saying when the Sky remote came in and you could text from the Sky remote, they were like, "Hey, text in how you feeling," and then they were like, "Yeah, let's not read out any of that." Like, no, it's just like carry on. They used to when Sheephead used to read out the emails in that feature called Shemail, which I don't think would get on TV anymore. No. And then the element where Tim would used to read out emails, and it was Robbie's job to, I'm not sure if Robbie mentioned this on the podcast, it was Robbie's job to basically put the emails in, and they're usually nice emails, but Robbie would just throw in one, like, "Tim Lovejoy is a Chelsea Red boy," and like he'd just throw it in there to throw Tim off as he was about to read it out. But he's just, I think people are still set in their ways. A lot of people don't like change, and we're fully aware that when me and Jimmy came on, it was a huge amount of change. We were replacing Helen, who I cannot tell you how amazing she was growing up. An absolute anti-figure. But Sky, the bosses decided they needed a bit of change for whatever reason. We came in, but when you get people going, "It hasn't been the same since Lovejoy left," and then going, why is the Soccerette gone? Why is it going?
Yeah.
Oh, no, things have changed, pal. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, I've got friends. I've got friends from home that were Soccerettes. Do you know what I mean? That were on Soccer AM as a Soccerette, and it was a different time. It was an absolutely different time, and people just weren't. They were. They just don't like change. They don't like change. They like things like it used to be. Do you know what I mean? Before the EU and stuff like that. So you just have to go, "Okay, mate, see you later on." Mm-hmm. And it was mainly men. I think I got one tweet from a woman that called me out, but the rest was men. But then on the plus side, like on the other side, and this is the bit that you don't see, was the increase in viewership. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that the numbers had gone up incrementally. I mean, when we came back on, I think it still has been, obviously, pre-pandemic with the guys as a twosome, and the fact that I was getting, you're getting people in the street going, mate, loved you. Do you know what I mean? No one ever called you out in real life. Do you know what I mean? No one ever, called behind the keyboard. But yeah, everyone was really, really nice in person. And then my ticket sales went up, and people, still, Soccer AM today put me in an Instagram post about me doing some keep you up ears, and you're still getting loads of little messages and say, oh mate, miss you, pal, hope you're doing well and all that lot. So yeah, it's easy to forget that because you're getting someone saying that they'd rather you dead.
Yeah, of course. Do you think that because your job is quite unconventional compared to 9 to 5, do you think that the lines are blurred when it comes to separating your work life from your personal life?
Yeah, a little bit. Like on stage, I'm very over the top, very kind of almost like I'm a clown. Do you know what I mean? I'm a quite camp, ridiculous clown. And then off stage, like now, even in interviews like this, I'm quite boring. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a bit like,
no, not at all.
No, but it's in like I'm not like
yeah. That would be exhausting.
Yeah, it would be. And like we played golf early on with Rob Beckett and his brother, and there was maybe 2 or 3 holes where we were showing off to each other, but the rest it's like we just just head down, just get on with it and stuff. So yeah, for me, it's a weird one as well. Like I think it's I've spoken to a few footballers about this. I'll always try to, if health and safety permit, after a show, say hello to all I'll say, look, if you want a little meet and greet, if you want to say a little hello or just have a little photo after the show, that's fine. Like, we'll just give me 2 or 3 minutes just to get us together. People that don't want to, and then, luckily there'll be a lot of people there, which is, if they want a photo, then that's great for them. And also for the ego, amazing as well, seeing that people still want to have a photo with you. But sometimes I'm quite awkward in those situations. I'm like, I'll be as confident as you like on stage, and then afterwards I'll just be like, yeah. I'll like stumble on my words and not know what's going on. But that's just how it is. Yeah. Whereas before comedy, I think I was that arrogant knobhead off stage. Well, not in everyday life, and I didn't have an outlet for it. Whereas that now is my outlet. So that's the way I see it.
Do you ever feel pressure to keep that up off stage? Because I feel like a lot of comedians are maybe expected to see the lighter side of situations.
Yeah, hugely. Like, most of the time, I'm, it's fine, but sometimes you are like, it sounds stupid, but you just expended a lot of energy on stage, for 1.5, 2 hours of, I did a TV show the other day for the first time. Like, TV shows have started to come back, and it was a game show. And whilst it's not mining for 6 or 7 hours, it takes a lot of mental energy in order to be kind of like switched on for the whole time and thinking what you have to say, making sure you're funny, making sure you sound up straight, making sure that you don't look like an idiot. And by the end of it, I was exhausted. I was like, Jesus, do you know what I mean? It's a lot of mental exhaustion more than anything. But yeah, I think it does. It sometimes can, oh God, I mean, I've done, my fair share of manual labour jobs, but it's a different kind of energy that you burn up. It's a different type of tired. But yeah, I do feel sometimes the pressure to be, having to be funny off stage. I think actually I am very funny. So I'll say that.
You can say that.
Get it out. Like I think that's not very funny. I mean, hopefully I am. Otherwise, yeah. I think that's why I get certain jobs I get and stuff, is because there is that natural side of it. I like comparing gigs and stuff. So yeah, I edit that, man. But I can't prick.
I'll consider it. Comedy has led to many opportunities for you, like touring with Jack Whitehall, being on Soccer AM, and there's an endless list. I mean, you've met Lionel bloody Messi.
Yeah.
Do you still get nervous though after all these shows and all these appearances?
Not really, no. Like, it sounds so ridiculous. Like, the only time I really get nervous is singing. Like, singing at like Westminster Abbey or St George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, because there's no room for failure there. Whereas if you're on stage, if I have a bad gig, like I've been doing it enough now to know that I can not. If I do something stupid on stage, it's funny. Do you know what I mean? If I fuck up a word, I can make light of it and just kind of like just crack on and stuff like that. In a TV show, there's an edit. Do you know what I mean? On Soccer AM, there wasn't, but that was why Soccer AM was so good. Is that if someone made a mistake, it's like, hooray! Yeah. So that's what made that show, and has always made that show. Do you know what I mean? You're just waiting for someone to slip up on the link, and it's just like, well, put your teeth in. Do you know what I mean? Like, now I'm laughing now. It's like me and Fenners would read the links in and out of the breaks, and if one of us would like muck up, it's like, it's the best feeling in the world. And again, that's what makes that show. If I'm singing at Westminster Abbey or Windsor Castle, there's none of that. That's when you have to be absolutely on the ball and absolutely like no room for any mistakes whatsoever. So that's when I'm kind of like most nervous. Me and footballers, I am a football fan, but like I'm not an uber football fan. I love Grimsby Town. I love following them, and I've loved my love for them has grown, you know, since the age of like 16, 17. So like when I don't really think I've been starstruck with many footballers, and that's not being I'm not disrespecting the footballers at all. I mean, they're still obviously amazing, but I think that helps. So when you're interviewing them, you're not like, hi there. So, do you like what was your favorite? Exactly. Do you know what I mean? So like, you're just there shitting yourself. So I think, you know, when I let Lionel Messi, it was a weird one. I knew it was going to happen. I was like, what's the worst that can happen here? Do you know what I mean? He can walk out and go, I'm not doing this. But I was like, all I should do is have a little conversation with him for an hour, or like do some filming for like an hour, and that was it. And then the weirdest thing was, we were doing it, and everyone was like, oh, it's Lionel Messi. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, we need to in and out as quick as possible, and don't try and engage in conversation. Don't ask for a selfie or anything like that. I was like, look, we're filming with Lionel Messi, so I'm going to get footage of me with him. It's not a problem. And he was really nice. He was really, really nice. Made him laugh quite a few times, which I was like, that's the naturally funny person in me. Do you know what I mean? And it was quite weird. We were chatting. He can speak English. I can't speak Spanish, so we were speaking through his agent. And he said something to his agent. Lloyd. And like double L in Spanish is yeah. So it's like my name for that day was Lloyd. So like I never heard Lloyd. I was like, oh, that's me. And he's like, yeah, Lloyd. And the agent goes, oh, apparently you and Lionel have a friend in common. I was like, oh God, he thinks I'm Jack Black. I don't think it. Like, what is this? I was like, do we? He goes, I am. What was I on the Pipa? And he's like, Joaquin Mendila, Pipa. I was like, Pipa, yeah. The oh yeah. And I basically, it was through Martin Gritton.
Wow.
And this is so basically Martin Gritton was playing at Macclesfield. Man City just bought Pablo Zabaleta, and he said to Man City, "Can you sign my mate? He plays for Barcelona B team." Man City looked at his like show reel and stuff like, no offense, no. But if he wants to play in England, we can pay for him to play at Macclesfield. So that's basically what happened. Like, I'm paraphrasing. I think like basically people came over to play for Macclesfield, couldn't drive, so Pablo Zabaleta used to drive and pick him up like and drop him off at training every day. So everyone at Macclesfield would turn up in their like relatively, you know, BMW 1 Series or what have you, and then like people used to get dropped off in a Lamborghini every day. Anyway, he knows because they're all Argentinian, you know. So Zabaleta, Willy Caballero, there was like quite a Manchester Argentinian scene. So whenever Lionel was over there, they used to hang out, and she knows him from obviously like growing up in Barcelona and stuff like that. So we went out for dinner, me and Martin. Martin was like, oh, Mick, you've got to go meet, like, we've got to meet people. Like, he's a great guy. Like, he does, like, football stuff now. Like it's like filming with this sport on screen. You know? So I met up with him, lovely guy, and then just didn't really put two and two together that he was mates with Messi. And then Messi brought it up. And then the whole crew were like, so we've been filming this for 6 or 7 weeks, and you failed to mention that you got a mutual friend with Lionel Messi. Well, lads, I didn't know. He brought it up, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, fair, but I text people after, I was like, did you mention me to him? He's like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, mate, thank you. And then he's like, oh, do you want anything signing? And I was like, yes. So I had to run to the club shop, like Usain Bolt, get a football top, get him to sign it for my cousin, whose birthday it is today. Actually, I think he's 16 or 17 today. And but yeah, like 5 years ago, Christmas Day, I was like, "Do you want to open that? Do you want to open that present, mate? Do you want to open that present?" Opened it. It's a Barcelona top. Thanks very much. Not just that, mate. Got the league on the side. Oh, cool. On the back, signed by Messi. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Yeah, that is the best present you're ever going to get. They're only ever going to go downhill from now on."
Yeah,
so,
you've set yourself up to fail there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, you've met a lot of amazing players. So this is quite a big question, actually. If you were to set up a 7-a-side team with players that you have met, because obviously you've done Taxi to Training, so it has to be players that you've met, a 7-a-side team, and you can put yourself in goal. I mean,
obviously, it's 7-a-side. That's fine. Okay, so the 7-a-side team with people that I have met, I'm gonna write this down. I've got a bit of paper here. Okay, so it'll be me in goal. Up top would be Eric Cantona.
Superb.
Behind him would be Lionel Messi.
Average.
Then I'd base it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then, well, actually, do you know what? Let's figure out a formation later on. Ryan Giggs on the left. Gary Neville. Dele Alli. Missing someone here, aren't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm short of defenders here, aren't I?
I mean, Neville might be able to hold the fort, but
I'd put Martin Gritton in there as well.
Yeah, putting big grits in.
But he's a big lad, so to be fair, if I'm going, hello, mate, do you want to play centre-back? Oh, me, no, I'll go, well, no one else is playing centre-back out of Gary Neville, Dele Alli, Ryan Giggs, Lionel Messi and Eric Cantona, so I think you're going to play at centre-back, mate. But yeah, not a problem. That's not a problem. Yeah, let's stick Grits in there, I think. Who else could I mean, on the bench, Jimmy Bullard would have to be the first person on the bench. But I just don't think Bullard is better than Neville, Ali, Giggs, Messi or Cantona.
But I think he's gonna come on. He's gonna get himself about. He's gonna keep the play ticking over. I think he'll be a great impact sub.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that too. That's not bad, is it?
That's a world beater. That
I've met some quite good footballers and Martin.
Okay, so like you said, you still do your singing appearances fairly often, and I'm a massive Blossoms fan. So I saw recently you came out, you supported them, didn't you? You did a warm up set, and then you did a Falling for Someone, I think it was, came on stage and some of them. Yeah. So you're a fully fledged rock star. You're doing a lot of TV, a lot of YouTube, online shows, podcasts. But is there one area specifically that you think that you would like to move towards in the future, or are you happy with all of your strings to your bow?
I like, that's the thing. It's like jack of all trades. You know what? Talking about like when I was younger, going, I'm gonna be on TV. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm just gonna be on TV. And like I've been lucky in that my IMDb. This is a horrible phrase. My IMDb is quite. My IMDb is quite. Like, so there's presenting, there's me making appearances as myself on panel shows or like Talking Heads, then there's me acting and stuff. So it's like, I'm happy to just do as many things as possible. If you throw enough shit, some of it will stick. And that is the advantage of being morbidly obese, is that there is a lot of shit. For me though, it's like, it's the acting and the stand-up and the acting are the two things that I'm kind of like want to concentrate on. That was the reason why I left Soccer AM, is because I got an acting job that was too huge to turn down. Can't talk about it still. But so that's kind of that for me. And I've been quite lucky in the last year. I've had like small parts in quite big things that are going to come out this year, end of this year, beginning of next year. Some interesting stuff, a few things that you'll definitely watch and stuff, and even now looking to film some stuff in the next few months and what have you. So yeah, I know James Corden splits opinion, but I mean, Jesus Christ, like that bloke has everything. And I think he's brilliant at what he does. You know, like I went and saw One Man, Two Governors at the National Theatre, and not that many people, you know, in the grand scheme of things, know that he would have done that. Only really if you know your theatre or your art, so you know that he'd done that. It was one of the best things I've ever seen. He was absolutely incredible as Francis Henshaw. In that, you know, and to see someone that you knew as Smithy, you know, someone that has written and starred in one of the best sitcoms of the last 20, 30 years, to then go to the National Theatre and do that, and then to have his own late night TV show in America, to have one of the largest shows, Carpool Karaoke, to then be in Cats, and then, you know, and also, you know, play Paul Potts in a movie of Paul Potts. It's like, there's not much he hasn't done. Do you know what I mean? Like, League of Their Own was one of the fucking biggest, you know, still is one of the biggest TV shows in the UK. So, you know, love him or loathe him, you know, I think that he's, you know, it's great that he's done that. And he's obviously an ambitious person, and kind of, you know, I wouldn't mind being a poor man's James Corden. If there's anything he doesn't want to do, I'm absolutely happy to sweep it up and do it. But yeah, so like for me, it's kind of like concentrating on the next tour. But also, is acting is one thing that I do want to do, and you know, that's just, I still love all the other stuff like the presenting and the, you know, and the podcast stuff, and I still do my YouTube channel, even though it makes me absolutely no money whatsoever, and it's a ball ache, like carting the kits around the country when you're on tour. But you know, I still enjoy doing it and stuff. So, yeah,
amazing. The last part of this podcast, I'd like to do a sort of quick fire-ish, sort of like average speed limit round, with sort of loosely mental health related questions. Okay. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy is no knobheads in my life, and doing stuff that makes me happy. So like doing the job that I do, making me happy, hanging around with the people that make me happy.
And what makes you sad?
Wasn't quick fire, that was it. Knobheads.
All right. Okay, knobheads, fine. And in the last few years, what have you learnt about yourself?
What have I learned about myself in the last few years? Just believe in yourself. Like, just really believe in yourself. You know, I get asked quite a few times on various social media platforms that, you know, people can say, "No, I'm looking to start a podcast," or "I'm looking to get into comedy. What should I do?" And it's like, just first and foremost, just believe in what you do. Do you know what I mean? And then just go for it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone fails in their life, and everyone fails in their life so many times. So don't be afraid of those failures. Just pick yourself up. But whilst you're picking yourself up, just believe in yourself that you can do it.
Inspirational. And the last question that I use in every episode, a bit of positive reflection. What about yourself are you most proud of?
I think making my mum proud. You know, she brought me and my sister up on her own, and it wasn't easy. You know, and so my sister's got a really good job in she's really bright, you know what I mean, and she's kind of worked her tits off as well to get where she is. But I think, yeah, I'm most proud of making my mum proud, you know what I mean? So when I'm doing stuff, you know, we were able to go, you know, supported Jack Whitehall at the O2 for 3 nights, and we were able to like have a nice little box for her at the O2, and, you know, see a little son make a buffoon of himself, you know, come on and play a little role at the end of Jack's show as well. So, you know, just small things like that. I mean, whenever I make the Telegraph, the Grimsby Evening Telegraph, I mean, she loves all that. So yeah, I guess just making me mum proud, really.
Amazing. Lloyd, can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
The floor's yours. What do you want to tell people about?
Nothing really. I just if you've enjoyed this, give me a little follow on it. Instagram's the nicest platform, really. Twitter's just full of horrible people in it, really. So yeah, just give us a follow on anything really at Lloyd Griffith. I do these weekly football videos. It's impressions. They're so dubious. Called Premier League Fan Reactions. I do a podcast for Robbie Knox called Cooped Up with Lloyd Griffith and Robbie Knox, where we just chat rubbish for 20 minutes a day. In fact, we're on it in 11 minutes. But yeah, just be nice to each other. I know it sounds so wanky, it's so pretentious. If you're a football fan and you have known that you've been aggy in the past, calm down. There's things bigger than football. Do you know what I mean? Kiss your family. Have a nice time. Get a lovely tug duvet. Do you know what I mean? That'll make you happy.
Lloyd, thank you again. And to the listener, thank you for listening to the Football and Feelings podcast.